'Tis episode 9, the last of the single-digit episode Z. And it's very exciting because this is I guess this is a part 2 to the speedrun rant. I wasn't able to speedrun as much as I thought I would be, but I will be. Hopefully, I'll be. You know what? I'm not gonna make any promises. Let's just say this will be something. Whilst I'm recording this fun intro, I'm actually listening to Rent Collective. I mean, you probably don't know them unless you know them from church. We went to their concert at oh man, it might have been 2019, fall 2019. It was in October, and I remember it was my youth pastor's birthday. Actually, she was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so lucky! It's on my birthday weekend, probably." I don't think it was exactly on her birthday, but it might have been actually. And yeah. Their music is such a vibe, for real, because it's not it's very much more fast paced, and it's very loud and bright, and you always want to dance to it. It's a vibe. So there really isn't an easy way to say this, but I was recently made aware that, well, I mean, you probably know because in episode 2 or 3, maybe even 4, I'm not really sure which episode, but it's either 2, 3, or 4, I censored a part of the podcast because I was like, oh, it turns out that these people are definitely probably watching, and I continue with that sentiment that they are definitely probably watching, so that has, I guess, kind of hold me back, but not really. I think I've realized, I think I've coped with the fact, I don't know, for a little bit, I avoided a lot of the people that I suspected were the people that were going on a big group call and just analyzing and saying, "Oh wow, look at how dumb she sounds in that," and it made me a bit very, very much so, not just a bit insecure for a while, but I was like, I can't care anymore. It's too much work. Why am I giving them free head rent space? What? That's definitely not how it goes. Why am I giving them space in my mind without, why am I letting them live in my head rent free, right? When really, they definitely do not think about me. And I just gotta focus on the things that I'm working on and the people around me and my friends, because why would I put the effort to avoid them just so that I don't feel awkward? I bet they feel much more awkward if they look at me straight in the face, and while they watch/listen to this and keep. The only word I can think of is the French word décortiquer. They décortiquer everything, and they're like, "Oh, well, look at that thing she said. That's so dumb." And that other thing that's "Oh my gosh, why didn't she I don't know, cut out that part where she's thinking and she doesn't say anything?" Or I don't know. I really don't know what they could be talking about, but yeah, that's a fun thing. Continuing on with the continuity aspect of these episodes, I decided that the word that we're going to talk about this week is mania. The definition of mania from the dictionary says a mental illness marked by periods of great excitement or euphoria, delusions, and overactivity. So an example of a sentence would be, many people suffering from mania do not think anything is wrong. Another definition would be an excessive enthusiasm or desire, an obsession. So the plural would be, you could have many manias. And basically, mania, I think, is pretty common in bipolar people. There's two types of bipolar, and I'm not sure if both of them have mania, but at least one of them has mania. And it's characterized by, because bipolarism is certain periods of depression and other periods of mania, at least one of them. I'm definitely don't quote me on this. The DSM-5 probably has a very much so clearer definition of bipolarism, but that's what I could understand. And mania is this well, I mean, when you read the definition, it doesn't sound so bad, but I think it's definitely the people that are manic and that have mania. They say that it's not fun at all, and you only realize that you were manic until you're out of an episode. So I thought that was really interesting. Um, Obviously, I don't think I have had mania before, but I realize that I'm trying now, making a conscious effort not to like dilute definitions of words. So I used to use words like bullying and stalking and whatever very frivolously. I would use these words because I thought that it was funny to like haha exaggerate like so much to the point that the word has lost its meaning. That's how meme culture works basically now. I mean, every single word that you think um would be like, oh, that's very funny or very important or whatever. It's everything will get memed out. And so anyway, I basically realized that I said that I was manic during the March break, which is like not true because I'm not diagnosed with mania. Why would I say that, right? But it's just because I had this uh, I was ecstatic during the March break, and I did a lot of things that were weird, I guess, for me. It wasn't bad necessarily, but I don't know. I felt like there was just something. I mean, it might have been okay, but it just felt weird for me. The things that I were doing, it probably doesn't make sense. I just can't quite explain it. Like I did draw quite a bit, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just not normal for me. And I also wasn't like sleeping when I wanted to sleep. I was like almost choosing not to sleep and type of weird stuff. And I realize now that it was like very weird of me to just say, "Oh, I was being manic" or whatever, cuz I mean, I'm not well educated in that, and I'm obviously not diagnosed. And self-diagnosing is obviously very well, not very bad, but it's usually not a great thing. So I'm just, yeah. In conclusion, what I wanted to say is when we're using words, we should have intent and we should not just say whatever because we want to. And mania is an interesting phenomenon. Yeah. The next thing I wanted to talk about, or I guess the first unpopular opinion or something, is this video that's basically like, I would describe it as a problematic affirmations video. I think that there's the right things to say, like right things to affirm, and there's things like this where you think that it sounds fine, but then when you start like actually analyzing what the person is saying, slash when you realize what their intent and what they mean by it, well, I'm just assuming, but I'm pretty sure that I'm right because from the comment section and all that, I think that I'm right about what they're saying. Anyway, I'm gonna play it first. That I need, I already have. Everything that I have is all that I need. Anything I desire, I will receive because my reality is created by me. So, if you didn't hear that well, it's a video of this girl who's basically like lip syncing. It's a TikTok, right? To this audio where it says, "Everything I have, I already need. Everything I need, I already have." I forgot what's after that. And then it was like, because my reality is created by me. And I saw this because I was like, hold on. Well, I saw people that I knew liking this. And I decided, I was like, I guess I'm gonna like voice my opinion on the podcast because people don't care. So everything that I need, I already have. Everything I have, I already need. Sorry, anything that I desire, I will receive because my reality is created by me. So I think the most problematic part is that last end where you realize she's not saying what I thought she was saying. Because at the beginning, I thought it was like, oh yeah, you have everything that you need in like a first world country type of situation. We usually have like a house, we have food, we have schooling, we have clothing. So yeah, we do have everything we need. And everything that we get is basically things that we want, other than the necessary. Like I like to get clothing and it's not necessary, but it's something that I like. And so I thought that made a lot of sense. But after that, she said, everything I desire, I will receive because my reality is created by me. Now that's the part where I'm like, oh, so, it's a thing that actually, what's it called? New Age Christianity believes in, and she's not a Christian, I don't think, but it was just something that I thought about. It's that, like, the fact that it's, what is it called again? The law of attraction. So if you say things enough, they'll just come to you instead of, I don't know, working for it, or um, I don't know, just, I think that it's, I mean, obviously there's proof that it probably has some kind of thing that works, but I don't know if it's of good, uh, I don't know if it's of the right, I mean, I don't know. I'm me just rambling. I don't know if the law of attraction really is a good thing, because you're just asking random spirits that you don't really know of. They can be benevolent or they can be bad. So I don't think that's, like, I don't think you should risk that type of thing just so that, what, you can get a Lamborghini. Like, it's very materialistic of a type of thing. And it's, I think there's, in the same vein, there's like, I remember there were prayers at Bethel, I think, where they were praying for a girl who died to resurrect, which I think that's very problematic, because the only people that have resurrected, at least biblically canon, would be Jesus and Lazarus that Jesus raised from the dead. So thinking that you're, like, of the same level of as Jesus himself is problematic. Like, and so they were trying to raise this girl from the dead, and I was like, everything I desire I will receive, but who's giving it to you, right? Like, it's not just, I mean, if you just believe in the universe being a benevolent force, I think that's a bit foolish to think that in the world everything in the universe is just always there to help you, you know? um I guess it's, you could flip it on me and say, like, oh, well, you believe in a benevolent god, and that's dumb. But yeah, so that's the cutesy thing, and I wanted to bring this up because people I know like this, and I was like, are you really approving this message? Like, you're creating your reality. Like, yes, your life is a culmination of your choices, that I agree with, but you're creating your reality by affirming whatever you want will happen. mm, I don't know. Although there is a verse in the Bible where it says, if your heart is aligned with the desires of God, then your desires will come true, because your desires are what God wants. But that doesn't, like, you're not always aligned. So, like, it's dangerous where you, like, it's dangerous waters when you tread into territory where it's like, you just, whatever you want, you will get. That's a bit fishy, I'm just saying. So recently I've been feeling super embarrassed when I see videos or pictures from my past, especially videos, because it's like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe I acted that way, I said that, I did that thing. Is all of it is embarrassment. It doesn't even matter if people care or if it's that big, but it's just so embarrassing seeing yourself younger or different times. And I mean, I guess that's how we'll always feel when we're in continuous changing and evolution. But it just, man, I saw this video of me doing the renegade dance, but like the Christian renegade dance at Snowblast in 2020, right before we went into lockdown. And I'm like cringing so hard just thinking about it right now, because I cannot believe I did that. But I guess it was fun for the time. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we should take ourselves too seriously, but that was just an embarrassing moment, and I cannot believe it's forever documented in, like, somebody's phone. Yeah. This is just a couple ideas that I wanted to throw out there and see how you guys like. I mean, you obviously don't have to answer to this, but if you feel very passionately about one of these, you can definitely tell me about it. So I was thinking, like, it probably would be very weird, but I was like, oh, maybe I could do a live episode of the podcast, where you could be in the chat with me and we could basically actually interact. But I was like, well, why wouldn't I just text somebody? Anyway, so I was like, it's probably not the best idea. And then another thing was, I was thinking I could review Disney TV shows or just TV shows, movies, stuff like that, where, I mean, I can think of a couple that I'm already like, ooh, you know? And the other idea I had was like a family episode. I could bring on the family, the parents, the brother, that type of thing. Or another one would be like Barbie movies, because I feel like it's not just Disney. Barbie movies are a whole other category, like the Princess and the Pauper, or the 12 Sisters, or like the pony one. It's not a pony, it's like a unicorn one. Yeah, there's a bunch of those type of things. Entering another topic of contention, or mixing a bunch of things together, a point of contention. It's something that I heard Abba and Preach bring up in one of their videos. I'm not sure which one. Actually, I think they are Montreal based. They're a Montreal based duo, and they make videos on YouTube. Basically, a lot of them, they're roasting Jubilee videos, and it's pretty funny actually. And actually, Jubilee mentions them in one of their videos about haters, and I was like, just because somebody doesn't think that your content is good doesn't mean that they're a hater. And just because they watch it doesn't mean that they're like hating on it, you know? Just because they're watching and criticizing it doesn't mean that they're like hate watchers. They're just giving constructive criticism and they want to comment on it. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that inherently. Although sometimes I don't always agree with them, but they make pretty fair points most of the time. And this was one of them. I'm not sure which one of them is Abba or Preach, but one of them said, it's not about your color nowadays, although it might have been in the past, like what race you are. Nowadays, it's your class that defines how you interact, how your social skills are, or whatever, how your personality develops. It's by class. It's no longer by your race. Which that's another topic for another day. But I thought that was a very interesting point to bring up. That like, it might not necessarily be race anymore. It might be like if you were raised in a middle class family versus a very impoverished family, slash if you were raised in a very rich family, you would obviously have different perspectives on life, and you would develop differently. It wouldn't really matter if you're rich and you're black, or if you're rich and you're Asian. If you're rich and you're white, you probably have the same mentality, which is like most of the time they don't want to pay like 70% of their money to the government or whatever that may be. And it doesn't matter what your opinion on that is. It's just a fact of the matter. Like, usually rich people don't want to pay more because they think that it's not fair because they're rich or whatever. And the other one was from another video where people said it's not about your race, it's about your culture. So like, for example, if you're a Quebecois person that has grown up here, and it's not the same as, even though you're technically white, it's not the same as like a European immigrant who lives here as like a second generation immigrant and grew up in Quebec. And it's not the same as like an Asian family or like a black family. And I thought that was very interesting too, because it's a different, it's not class either. It's your experience, I guess it also ties into class. Like, if you're an immigrant, you're most likely middle class, unless you were like really rich, your parents were really rich wherever they came from, and they just transferred all their money over, which that happens sometimes, I guess. And it probably shapes your personality in a lot of ways that we haven't really realized yet. I mean, maybe there has been research done on it. I just haven't come across it. But points that I thought were very interesting. My next topic is about, ironically, emojis and the evolution of texting culture. Now, you might think that this is not very serious, or it's not like that deep, but I was thinking, why do we feel a certain way about internet culture? Why do we think that it's cringy when like old people use it, or is it like extremely wholesome if they use it? Like, I always thought that was very interesting. How I would say a couple months ago, I was like, well, nobody even uses emojis anymore. But I feel like there's been a resurgence, at least for me. But for a long time, I didn't do like emojis. Like, literally, I would just. But now I do like smiley faces with with the keyboard, so like the semicolon and then like the end parentheses smiley face, or I'll do like the star emoji, when you want to make it like a ironic, like sarcasm, funny thing. Or, well, I remember in the past, we would really exaggerate with our emojis. Like, you would send 4 crying, laughing emojis in a row to say, like, oh my god, so funny. And I feel like that doesn't exist that much anymore. But that's what I mean by texting culture is evolving, if you want to call it that. It might just be because of our age, though. I don't know if it's still the case that like people are sending a line of Lamau with like 7 O's, or that type of thing. And yeah, I remember I saw one of my leaders from youth group. She had texted us using a bunch of emojis to explain, and I was like, wow, that is a lot of emotion like portrayed right now. But now I'm like, oh, why was I so harsh on her? Like, if you want to use emojis, why is it seen so weird to like be overly expressive when it's easier to convey your emotion through like emojis? You explain something and then you could say like sad face, and so you're like, clearly you're upset by it. Or you do the like heart emoji, you're like much love or whatever. I thought that was interesting, but I don't really have a conclusion on that, because now I've been using emojis more often, but still not the same ones that I used to use. I use a lot of the clown emoji, or well, it's the red one. It's not the clown emoji. It's like a red mask one, but that's how I perceive the clown emoji. And I'll use the stars, and yeah, that's pretty much it. My next topic is a bit out of left field, to be honest, because I guess I never talk about it, but it's the news and how biased it is. Every piece of news that you will ever come across nowadays is heavily biased and will always have an agenda that they're trying to come across. But that, I guess, is more known than before. I think before they were trying to pretend like they didn't have an agenda, but now it's very much so clear. No matter what news source you go on, there's definitely opinion in there. And obviously you cannot be 100% impartial, because you will always have an opinion. But the way that it is now, like, articles are so blatantly biased, they're not even trying to hide it. They're not trying to like mention everything that happened. They're just trying to mention whatever is important to them to show that their point is right. And it's just, I mean, it's part of like polarisation des opinions or whatever in ethics. And for some reason, I realized, oh, actually, Michaela Peterson, she's a podcaster, and her dad is Jordan Peterson, a very famous Toronto psychologist who was a professor at U of T, but I think he quit because, or maybe he was fired. I forgot. Anyway, he's very famous or whatever. And she has a podcast too, and she was promoting this thing called, I forgot. I'm so good at this, guys. I forgot the name of the program, but it's like an app where you can look at many different sources, and they'll tell you exactly what political leaning they have, what they're trying to get across, and they have they basically have all different sources for like each different category of political leaning, I guess. And they'll say this article is trying to say this, and this is the point they're trying to make across. And they'll even have a summary of like, here's what we think actually happened. And I thought that was really interesting, because it's made by there's many people who developed the app, so it's not just one person who obviously would have a certain like bias, but they all work together to have like something that's actually closer to the truth than anything that we'll get and to nowadays. But that's not even what I wanted to say. I realized that like, everything's so politicized, and you can't even learn about a new song without saying like, oh, well, this artist is definitely ripping off somebody else, or this artist is doing something very wrong because look at that other thing that they did. And it's, I'm just giving a small example. It doesn't make sense probably, but that's just what I was thinking. And I realized that now I'm much more interested on like informational videos. Like if I'm ever going to watch like something that's supposed to teach you something, it's either going to be psychology, history, or it's going to be like interesting theology. Like I love watching this woman, Melissa Doherty. She is an ex New Ager, so she used to believe in a lot of woo woo, I would call it. No offense if you believe in woo woo, she just, you know, and so she's no longer that way. And she talks about how her experience in that like type of environment. And she also talks about because she had a friend who was very close to her who was a Jehovah's Witness, and so she explores that too. And I thought that was just that series that she made was so interesting. She'll also dissect other like Christians or so-called Christians and their theology, and I thought that was like super interesting. And since it's like not politicized, and it's not lighthearted, but it's definitely not bringing you down. It's just more information that, and like, to be honest, most of the time when I'm watching videos, it's just for entertainment. Like, I will not most of the time I will not watch an informational video that's like 2 hours long about a certain topic, but sometimes it's interesting. um and it's definitely an acquired taste. It's like reading, well, I talked about this with my friend Luca the other day. Reading nonfiction, right? I feel like it's really hard for me, but if I got into one thing, then it would be interesting. So I really like the whole psychology too. And whoever is they is, I love hearing people talk about, I mean, it sounds weird, but I like seeing how things affect a person and how like it can change them. And mental health is like something that's really interesting to me. Although I don't want it to sound weird, like I'm not a creep. It's just I find it interesting how the brain copes with trauma, or how the brain tries to reformulate its like formation or whatever. We studied schizophrenia for a systematic project last year, and I thought that was like the most interesting project we had that year. We had to write an article, which sounds boring, but like we had to write an article on what are the causes of schizophrenia. And I thought, I mean, it wasn't even that good that what we wrote, but I loved doing research for that. It was fascinating to see the different theories that are out there, because for schizophrenia there's no actual like for sure cause that if this happens to you, or if you have this shape of a brain, then you definitely have schizophrenia. It's just that you have higher risk, or you might, if something else happens in your life that like clashes with that, then maybe suddenly you'll have a schizophrenic break. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you get schizophrenia. You might get schizoaffective disorder, which is slightly different. It depends, like your hallucinogenic, if you hallucinate for more than 6 months, then they can call it no longer an episode, which would be schizoaffective disorder, but now they can call it like, well, usually, obviously, you need a doctor to diagnose you. Like, I wouldn't be able to just diagnose you, but after 6 months, for a period that lasts longer than 6 months, then you can be diagnosed with schizophrenia. But it can still be other stuff, because if you take medication, or if you have like a history of mental health in your family, or if something traumatic happened to you, like it could all affect you. So it might not actually be schizophrenia, since like there's so many different kinds of mental health disorders or illnesses. It's I just think that's fascinating. um Again, not a creep. Like, if you have trauma, I'm so sorry. I'm not saying that it's a good thing that you have trauma. It's just how these things develop and how the brain works is just super interesting to me. So I actually wanted to talk about the class hierarchy, but I realized, well, it's because Misha brought it up, and Misha was like, "Oh, you should talk about it. I don't really know about that much about the class hierarchy or whatever, and I want to know where I stand." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I could do that." But now that was thinking about it and that I was writing the script, I basically infirmed my point of view. Infirmer ton point de vue. Another thing we did in ethics class, and it was just like, I was like, wow, I do sound dumb when I'm saying this, because it's just my perception of the class, and that is so subjective, since every single person will probably, just by being us, we'll put ourselves higher than we might actually be, or we'll put ourselves lower than we actually are. It's hard to be so objective about when it's yourself, or if it's your friends. Even people in your class that aren't your friends, you will still have some kind of bias, either positive or negative, towards them, if that makes sense. And so I was like, oh, I shouldn't do this. I'm not an outside perspective, and even so, the hierarchy it really does depend on the person. Maybe they think that they're higher than another person would like judge them as, and you know, it's kind of dumb anyway, the topic. And so yeah, that's my 2 cents on the hierarchy. I totally forgot, but yeah, so you can skip to the next timestamp if you want, but the next timestamp is another one. So I'm just going to say for this next topic, I have a trigger warning for racial slurs, and for the next timestamp that I have for drama in the YouTube community is trigger warning for essay and R word and grooming. So yeah. So now that it seems that my speed run is finally done, it's more of an hour and a half speed run if you call it that. I realized that I haven't really updated you guys yet, so I need to update you guys on the tea, on the drama, on recent events, because some of it is not tea or drama, it's like crimes, and we don't tolerate that here. So, yeah, I'm going to start with things of my personal life. Monsieur Chevalier, the teacher who said the N word in a video multiple times in a row, recently, Madame Fanny Deschamps has sent a message by pluriportail, which is what we use for our emails, just so for those who don't know. She has sent a message on behalf of Madame Julie Dubois and Monsieur Hugo Cavanaghi. Cavanaghi is our headmaster, I guess. He's head of all of Saint Anne. So not just our high school or the CEGEP. He's head of the CEGEP, the high school, and the academy. So yeah, and the new schools that are going to be opening up. And Madame Dubois is the head of Collège Saint Anne, so high school Saint Anne. But yeah, so she sent a message, and I'm not gonna tell you the message because I mean, it was just really long and I don't want to read it out. So, I'm going to put it on screen. So, yeah. You can pause to read, but yeah. So, oh, I forgot. Man. Just recorded a trigger warning. Yep. So, now that I'm done with that, I wanted to say you probably read through the message or you skimmed through it. And I have many thoughts. So, I'm just going to start reading through what I have to say. So, it turns out that they've hired a wokeologist, is how I would qualify. Very professional sounding thing, but I mean, she probably studied ethics or something, but it's like, are you sure that you weren't able to? They're making way too many jobs when they could just be like paying the teachers or whatever. I don't know. If the people who are hiring teachers aren't good enough, you should fire those people instead of. I mean, I'm exaggerating. You don't have to fire them, but just, I mean, something passed by when they were hiring him, and they somehow didn't realize that their new woke king at school didn't know how wrong it was to say the N-word. I don't know. It's interesting. And the message in itself wasn't bad. They said a lot of the things that they should have said. I'm not going to say everything, but they did say, like, we are not trying to downplay the fact that he said these things, blah, 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 but we will support him once he comes out or once he's changed. Okay. They said a lot of things that are good that you're supposed to say in an apology / message / whatever you want to call it. And it just seemed a bit disingenuous. I thought that they could have filmed a video, made the effort to show that they cared, because first of all, you made like a gestionnaire send the message when you yourself, I'm speaking to the principals, they could actually send a message from their own account at least, or they could send a video, which is more genuine, where they're showing that they care, that it's important, that they needed to address it. In this sense, they're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna delegate to somebody else. Like, how do you even know that they actually wrote down that? They probably were just like, okay, so say this thing and that other thing, and make sure that it sounds good, right? And yeah, send it at this time, and we'll proofread it before you send it or whatever. I don't know. I feel like, and also I would like to know what the context was, because apparently there's more context than we know or whatever that's supposed to mean. And so what's the context then? What was the reason? Could you tell me? If Mr. Chevalier went on video to explain, I know that wouldn't like be everybody's cup of tea, but I wanted to see that. Like, and I know a lot of people would have, even if it seems like it's excuses. Like, sometimes there is a context in which you made a big mistake and you just didn't know, even though people won't believe you, and it'll probably garner a lot of dislikes. Actually, let me think about it. um yeah, a lot of dislikes because it's like everybody at school. But even so, um just saying that he's sorry would also be important, because him not saying he's sorry and just having like the principal say, oh yeah, he is definitely repentant, and I was like, okay, so nobody's just gonna, okay. And also they sent an reportage, they didn't send a video, or they didn't put it onto like Teams, which is something that we use more often, hopefully to garner less attention. And they also sent it in this form of a message, so it's less easy to respond. Like, would you want to text the principal a whole text about how you feel? It's easier, like it's easier if you spoke to them, but then they don't really give a mode of speaking, except if you speak to that new ethics teacher, which, I mean, sure, but you get what I mean, right? You probably understand. I don't know. And it was like they're not dedicating their work to this. They're just like, okay, Madame Deschamps, like no hate to Madame Deschamps, because clearly she is a hard worker. Like, she does a lot of stuff in the school or whatever. But if this was such a big controversy, why didn't you talk about it? Like, principals, you know? And saying you don't have time for it, that's gold. That's really funny. They didn't say that, obviously, but just, it's what it looks like. And also, I would think that we would need a follow-up. Like, what is he doing to educate himself? What is he learning, really? Where is he going? And also, they abolished his role, so basically he's still at the school and he's getting paid to do less work, which seems like completely counterintuitive in my opinion, because you abolished his role, which I guess could be the right thing to do, but then you let him keep his job, except now he has less things to do and you're paying him the same amount. I feel like that's mega sus. Like, that's, come on now. The programs that they allude to are also very vague, I feel like. They don't really name what he's gonna do. They're just like, he will be learning from the best, and he will be educating himself amongst scholars, or whatever they said. And it's just like, okay. What are we supposed to take from that? Anyway, I thought that it was kind of very much so impersonal and cowardly. But we might need Observe, the YouTube channel, to do that, because, man, if we had a video, we would be able to like analyze if he was actually sincere, because you can, a lot of things in body language and stuff that's just subconsciously done can tell us a lot. And that's why I said Observe, because he's a channel that like is a body language and speech analyst. And so I thought that was, if he could like analyze a video of Monsieur Chevalier speaking, or even this principles, that would be really interesting. They also mentioned Obama at the end with like a quote from him. I thought that was pretty, I'm being sarcastic when I say this, classic. And it was fine. It's the same move as saying like, we're not racist, so we're going to quote Obama, which I guess, okay, like I mean, I don't have that big of an issue, but it just seems pretty funny that it's just, they have never quoted people in their messages before, and they just suddenly quote somebody that's black because of this issue. It's like, okay. And also, the quote from Obama was like, we have to do our due diligence in knowing context, or whatever it was. It was defending their opinion, I guess. And I was like, wow, okay. I mean, whatever. It is what it is, you know. Choosing to quote Obama is really cheesy and misplaced, you know. Just say what you want to say. Cause yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say. Well, I mean, I'm not done, but it's real convenient, right? So the next thing was, I wanted to talk about how we're not talking on further educating everyone else on the topic, because not everyone even knows about this. Like, my friend told me that she only remembered or understood more or knew that it was Monsieur Chevalier after she heard my first podcast. Obviously, they mentioned that it's Monsieur Chevalier, but it's almost like they don't even say what he did. Well, they kind of did, but they still didn't like just state he said the N-word multiple times in a row in a video over 1 minute. It's just that simple. I think they're trying to make themselves look better, which is fair, I guess. They have to say that they have to pretend that they're like the victim or whatever. And so, yeah, I thought that it might be very interesting to let the teachers speak on it, but they haven't addressed it at all. So I'm guessing either they don't have time to talk about it, or the teachers have been almost barred from speaking. Like, it's a big no-no. You can't speak about it. I thought that it would be an interesting topic to explore during ethics or history class, where we could have a parallel in ethics class between in ethics in history class between whatever we're learning and the controversy, right? Or in ethics class, we could just discuss it as like, morally, is it right that he was allowed to stay at school versus should he have been fired? Of course, you know my opinion. I recommend that if you're this far along and you haven't read the message, please do. Like, it's important, because I'm just commenting how I feel and what I know. That's what I got from it. And I really don't like the fact that some people will just get their news from people's opinions, because I spoke about this earlier. Like, we're so heavily biased no matter what. Obviously, I said that this is my opinion, but still, you might take my opinion as fact, and that's not true. I don't know everything, and this is just my opinion. And yeah, if you read the whole thing, you can draw your own conclusions. So, and another thing I forgot to talk about was, at the end, they say they're like criticizing people who like bring this up online. They're like, oh, well, it's wrong. You should talk to us in real life. And it's like, okay, but there's a clear power imbalance, right? You're a principal. We are children. Do you not see that there's power imbalance? You already have power over us. You also have age over us, which I know that's technically a fallacy, but like, still, you feel as if there's a difference, right, in rank. And so just talking to them is not the same, right? And you feel more free when you're not talking to them directly. Obviously, you can still do that. But even if they hear you, they probably won't care. That's the truth. It's more the people who went out online, they're trying to tell other people from the school, not necessarily the teachers, because the teachers, not the teachers, I mean the principals, they've already formed their opinion, right? They've already decided. You probably won't change their mind. But what you can do is educate people from your own school who don't even know what's happening, right? And like, that's kind of a boomer ideology. Like, why would you criticize somebody for sharing something important, something big that happened at your school, so that everybody can know about it? I mean, it's kind of like YouTubers when they're like, oh, well, there's just so many haters that are making videos about us, and they're just jealous. No. When they criticize you and they give you constructive criticism, not hate, where it's like, oh, you should go tell that person to die, or you should tell that person that they suck. It's not the same thing, right? There's a difference between commentating on a situation and telling your opinion and saying what you think should have happened or what you think should be the outcome, versus just saying, well, you suck and you should die, and I hope that every day you have a bad day, or whatever. That's very different from, like, constructive criticism can be very helpful and very important. And maybe some people are just feel braver and more open if they speak online. And you could send it to like whoever is in authority at the time, that's just what I was thinking. Anyway, from this situation, I was like, I'm kind of learning a lot from controversy. I feel like our generation is learning a lot from cancel culture and just general things that happen, that are important, that are big. I feel like we have one every week, basically. So I realized that this is the next topic, which is updates on Dobrik tea. Well, this is not tea, but you get what I mean. Updates on the David Dobrik situation. And I realized there's so many other little tidbits I want to talk about. So, I mean, I might this might be like spillage. It might spillage into the next episode, but I will definitely finish the David Dobrik updates. But I will mention other types of smaller things like actual tea on the next episode. But I might not even have time on the next episode. So it's just like, would you guys be willing to just watch like a 5-minute it's not even a podcast then. It's just like just the drama. I don't know. Anyway, so here we are. I waited a while because I think now finally everything has calmed down. Basically David Dobrik is over because well, his 11 at least sponsors have pulled out, and he's been kicked off of his own app as like the founder. He's no longer part of the development team, which is like crazy. And yeah, he's taking a break because, well, he's canceled right now. But that's neither here nor there. It depends on what you think. Just a lot of things have happened. So first of all, he has privated or deleted his breakup video with Liza Koshy, which there's two theories. Either he's doing this to protect her, or he's doing this because she asked him to do. That she doesn't want to be associated with him. Liza Koshy is his ex, by the way. That's why they had a breakup video. I mean, I guess by saying that they had a breakup video, I'm implying that they were dating. So yeah, basically that's what happened. And I realized that for everybody, there's so many times that everything is like two apologies, but it's treated totally differently, right? James Charles has two apologies for when Bi-Sister happened, this Bi-Sister scandal. But I mean, this year he only posted one apology, which wasn't really an apology either. And David Dobrik had two. But when James Charles did it, he was like completely pardoned. Like everything, he gained all his subscribers back and more. But when David did it, he's like, losing subscribers and he's canceled. I thought that was interesting. I guess it depends on the fact that James Charles had a very scripted second apology / explanation, but still, it's just interesting to point out. I'm pretty sure Logan Paul too, he had two apology videos. The first one that was insincere, and the second one that was more sincere. I mean, it was not at the time, but now you can tell that the person has changed. Although when the person is first apologizing, to be honest, they're not sorry, and that's like normal because they haven't really learned yet. You can't quite learn as soon as somebody tells you that you're wrong, because you probably think that you're right, and you have to wait for a while and learn until you realize that you were wrong. Or maybe you never realize it and you become an egomaniac, but that's just for the South Side, I guess. So yeah, why do we? Well, I think also my theory for James Charles versus David Dobrik having both two apology videos. I'm obviously not talking about James Charles' most recent apology video. He only made one, and yeah, I'll be talking about that in the next spillage. You know what I mean. So my theory is that since one admitted guilt, which was David admitted that he was guilty of promoting Dirty Dom and making it okay or a safe space for him as a predator. What is it called when they help you? He enabled that type of situation. But James Charles completely denied all accusations of him being a predator. So maybe it's the fact that we want to believe that people are innocent, and when they say that they're not, when they're admitting the truth, we actually punish them for doing that. Even though in the justice system, when you admit fault at first, without when you're truthful the whole way through, they're nicer to you, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. Oh, the Canadian justice system, hilarious. Somebody kills a person. They'll be in jail for 5 years. Whilst in the US, I feel like if you kill someone, it's 20 years in jail or whatever. Just funny, I think. Not funny, but you got what I mean. So Todd has responded, right? Todd E. Smith is the person who allegedly bought Jack Daniels / whiskey for the party where the girls were essayed / rape, R-worded. And he still denied that he didn't get the alcohol, but he said that, well, I've been doing a lot of reflection recently. Oh, and it's a Notes app apology on Twitter. Oh my gosh, could you not just go on a video and just, because at least, can you man up, please? Because these Notes app apologies are, they're a move that are for like wusses, you know? If you really were brave enough to just stand in front of the world, like why do you have to hide behind a notes app apology, which wasn't even an apology because he's like, well, I believe the victim and I didn't buy the alcohol. So then who bought it, Todd? Who bought it? Where did it come from? Did it just appear? Did it just happen to be there? And you guys were cool with that? Where did it come from? Could you answer that? No, because you're trying to protect whoever you're trying to protect if what you're saying is true. My theory is that Todd and Jeff did go out. Todd bought the alcohol with his card, but Jeff was there for when they bought it. So, yes, he can say that, oh, I would never buy alcohol for minors because there is no record of it. But, and for Todd, his defense is, well, I bought the alcohol for myself because I like to drink the alcohol. But still, you were like, I mean, you wouldn't have just let a 20-year-old drink it because she asked you at a party? Kind of suspicious, you know? Anyway, Carly and Aaron also have responded. They made a video, yeah, because they're manlier, apparently, than Toddy Smith. And they basically just said, yeah, we weren't there in the vlog squad at the time, and so we don't really have anything to say. We weren't there, and we definitely think that was disgusting. And I was like, cool, that's good, because I had doubts about Carly and Aaron. I was like, oh, well, I kind of watch them sometimes, and I was like, oh, I don't know. But they weren't involved at all because they weren't in the vlog squad at the time, and so I was like, relieved. And at least they addressed it. They were like, it's totally wrong. We weren't there. And so that's the end of the story. It's that easy. It's literally that easy. Show how much responsibility you had, you know? And also Natalie had also had a notes app apology because she's dating Toddy Smith. And she was like, yeah, we've just been thinking so hard about this and we've been really reflecting. But girl, there's like video and photo proof that you've been partying with people over the weekend, over the past week, actually. So you're reflecting while partying? I mean, maybe that's how you think, but for the majority of people, that's called procrastination. That's called avoiding the truth. That's called not doing something because you don't want to. I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm just allegedly, guys, allegedly. Supposedly, according to sources. So yeah, next up is Jason, not Derulo, Jason Nash, the guy who essayed Seth Everman, the one who made out with him without his consent. Just amazing stuff, right? He's really David Dobrik's lapdog, though. He's almost 50 years old, and he's getting controlled by, what, a 25-year-old? I mean, it's just like, it's, the dynamic is way too weird, way too weird. So yeah, he used to live with Toddy Smith and Scotty Disick. What? Not Scott Disick. Scotty Sire. And these two people are about half his age, a bit less than half of his age, and he would live with his 13-year-old child and 10-year-old child with these young 20-year-olds, 20-something-year-olds. And literally his child told him, Daddy, I don't like it here. It's weird. And he continued to live with them. Do you see the ridiculousness of it all? That's so uncomfortable. Why would you let your children be in an inappropriate situation? Because I'm guessing they also had parties there, and, explicit things would happen in their rooms, and they would be right next to them, according to Trisha, which apparently now Trisha, she was right all along. I don't know, well, I know why we discredited her, but it's, just because somebody is problematic doesn't mean that they're not telling the truth, right? And this is a big lesson that we've all learned through this, I think. Something that isn't really related to the tea, but it is tea. He's dating a 23-year-old. She's even less than half of his age. So that's just, he goes from Trisha Paytas, who was 30 when he was 45, and now he's 48, and now he's dating a 23-year-old. He's going down in age. It's concerning, I would say. But they said that they're just friends, and they're really friends. How many people do you know are friends with people who are twice their age, who isn't family friend or just like a mentor, you know? You know? I mean, it's an alleged new girlfriend, but whatever. And there was this video of her arguing with Jason in his car, and she had to leave the car and she was crying on the sidewalk, and she was like, "No, guys, I was just crying cuz I was waiting for her to pick up my dog." Okay. Okay, after you were arguing with this person, it just so happens that you were crying about something totally different. Uh-huh. Super believable. Like, I feel bad for the girl, but it just big sus, you know? And yeah, so then Gabby Hanna chimed in because when does she not? She used to be part of the vlog squad, and things are coming out again, like videos and compilations of just horrible things that they said to her. They constantly fat shamed her. They told her that she was ugly. They told her that, like, a David specifically may be like, "Wow, I'm so, you know how to feel upset," and he'd pan to her. Like, that's terrible. How did, like, people not? Because I never watched them, but, like, how did people not think that was not funny? It was not funny. Like, saying, you know what makes my day worse? Seeing this person who is supposed to be my friend, who looks up to me because I have a power over them since I'm their boss, basically. And she just let this happen, obviously, because I guess in that environment you can't say no to, like, things like that. You can't say no to jokes like that. And so she just dealt with it. And she obviously she recently tweeted, like, getting in some beef with gonna talk to some lawyers, and everyone was like, "Oh, is she talking about her rights, like, in this type of situation? Because, maybe she's gonna sue them for whatever that they did to her, or maybe that they're coming after her." But somebody, Hello Leash, brought up a good point that whenever she tries to stir the pot, it's always for content that she's making. It's for the poetry book. It's for new music that she's putting out. It's always, it coincided with something. So she hasn't announced anything yet that's coming out, but I wouldn't be surprised if all of this buzz was just because, oh, I'm trying to get my copyright for my song. Like, okay, but you were heavily insinuating that you were talking to lawyers about what happened with David Dobrik, but whatever. Obviously, this is speculation. Like, it hasn't happened yet, but it's a high probability since this is something that she has done many times before. And so there's conflicting feelings because they definitely treated her terribly, and obviously that had, like, a huge toll on her, because after that she went through a huge body transformation, which it wasn't just because of them, but I would say they definitely exacerbated the problem. There's nothing wrong with having a body transformation, but I think that it started in an unhealthy place because of how they treated her and her weight. They didn't accept her. She was always known as the fat girl, and that definitely, I think that would, like, change your mentality, right? And the other thing was, there's video proof that Zayn from Zayn and Heath Unfiltered, or Zayn Hijazi, he had groped her boobs, like, literally. That's SA. Because, I mean, unless she agreed to it, but I don't know what person would agree to that. And so that's blatant SA, and yet Zayn and Heath have not addressed the situation at all. This David Dobrik situation, not at all. And I guess they just never will, apparently. I think Mariah should just ditch Heath, because she's dating him, and I mean, girl, you can do so much better. She's so pretty, so nice. Why are you with somebody who hasn't answered to being like a frat boy for being problematic, who associates with somebody who groped someone's boobs, who I mean, if you associate, you definitely are complicit in some way. Like, if you are against it, you're at least okay with somebody else doing it, It's just, it's very interesting. And also, Matt King, just leave. You're so smart. You're so talented. You do not need them. Like, literally, you can ditch them. You can leave them. Start something by yourself, because he is very talented. And he was definitely not part of the vlog squad by then. He could just start anew, Anyway, I'm, like, going on too much about this. But for real, like, Zayn and Heath are very problematic. But they're but their podcast's so good though. So I'm having trouble like stopping. I have trouble stopping to watch their podcast. So I'm trying my best though. And finally, we have Jeff Wittek, the guy that came out very fiery, very hot. He deleted his video since where he's basically discrediting the author of the article, which is discrediting the victim. And he's come out with a video saying, "I'm so sorry, guys. Like, I was wrong. I was in the heat of the moment. I wanted to defend myself when really I didn't know everything. And I only read what was said about me when really that's not what's important because it was such a small amount of, like, whatever was said." And he said, "For real, I've been under drugs because of my, I've been on drugs a lot, and so I'm not in my best state of mind," which, it might sound like an excuse, but it does make a lot of sense because he's had a very serious eye injury where he's very touchy too, like touchy about it. Like, Trisha Paytas tried to ask him about what happened to his eye, and he would not talk about it. He shut her down so fast, and that makes me think like maybe there's something about them. And yeah, surely enough, the video came out where I think it was like a tractor. They were trying to move something and it just doinked in his eye, and it's pretty terrible. Do not search it up. It's like very graphic, but yeah, it surfaced on Tumblr, the video of him getting hurt. And the theory is that there was this vlogging trip that the vlog squad was supposed to go on. Everyone was like, "Oh, we're gonna go to this place. I forgot what place it is. Let's just say it's Hawaii, right?" They're all like talking about, "Oh, we're on the plane to Hawaii," and then they landed, and then suddenly crickets. No vlogs come out from that trip. Literally nothing. So we're thinking that's where he got the eye injury because he's slowly disassociating from the vlog squad, and he has his own thing, so like he can definitely live without them, and he would do much better without them right now, without the association. And what I'm thinking is like he signed an NDA that they're not allowed to talk about what happened, or he's still trying to protect them, which he has no reason to protect the vlog squad anymore. I guess it's because he's been in prison before. He thinks that would make him like a snitch or whatever, but I mean, come on. Don't be shy. Tell us the story. Tell us what happened. Because we see the video, but we don't know if that was during the trip to Hawaii or wherever it was. But anyway, yeah, I think that Jeff is probably the most like. How do I do this? Like, he's responded the best for the people who were complicit and responsible for SA happening, although he wasn't like. Obviously, the best people were Carly and Aaron because they weren't there. Or even Trisha, she just left. She was like, "I will not participate in this," Yeah, so that's all I wanted to say for now. Thank you for listening to episode, oh my gosh, is this episode 9? Crazy. So, yeah,